Hi, welcome back. This is video 3 of 3 on Ovid's prescription for the OCR set text Latin GCSE 2023 to 2024. I'll release a couple more videos on Catullus and Petronius for this paper, and eventually I'll get around to Virgil. For now, let's look at the Latin, translate into English and spot effects. As he sees all this reflected in the dissolving waves, he can bear it no longer, but his yellow wax melts in a light flame, as morning frost thaws in the sun, so he is weakened and melted by love, and worn away little by little by the hidden fire. So under is waves, and we've got sole tempente solent, so warmed by the sun, amore with love, so all words you know from the language paper. He no longer retains his colour, the white mingled with red, no longer has life and strength and that form so pleasing to look at, nor has he that body which Echo loved. So colour, mixto, really similar to English words, vigor, vires, vigour and like manliness, placebant, which were pleasing, remanet, so again language terms. If we look at the effects, we can see quite a bit of fire imagery, which we've seen before in the Ovid passages, and we see this with the melting simile that we have here, and vocabulary like igne, sole, tempe, solent, so sun and flame. We have the repetition and the irony of Echo coming in, burning with love in the same way that Echo had, creating that intratextuality I've talked about before. We've got the colour imagery, neque iam color, so no longer is the whiteness of his skin mixed with his blush, so he's becoming more sallow and lovesick. And you know, his love for himself, his desire for himself affects his appearance, which is even more ironic than when Echo loses her body. Narcissus loses his look, so she loses her substance and he loses his kind of visual appeal, which links to actually what's going to happen to them. Nec vigore vires et quae modo placebant. So we have anaphora of nec vigor, nec corpus, neither the vigour nor the body. We have a little bit of alliteration, vigor et vires, of like manliness and vigour or strength. Visa also appearance, is linking these three ideas together, and eventually we get the contrast, the body which amavera Echo, which Echo had loved. So it's a little reminder that Narcissus is undergoing the same fate that Echo did, and he's being undone by the same problem, by his own attractiveness. Still, when she saw this, though angered and remembering, she pitied him, and as often as the poor boy said alas, she repeated with her echoing voice, alas, and when his hands strike at his shoulders, she returns the same sounds of pain. So Echo's back in the story now. We have miserabilis, miserable puer boy, dixerat, he had said, haec razones, these things resounding, vocibus, with her voice, so look at these ablative cases, ultima vox solitam fuit haec spectantis. His last words as he looked into the familiar pool were alas in vain, beloved boy, and the place echoed every word. And when he said goodbye, Echo also said goodbye. So Ovid's really playing on that kind of repetition, you see. Let's have a look at some of the effects then and see how we could comment on this for an 8 or 10 marker. So we have the focalization again, seeing something from a character's point of view. Ovid reminds us that Echo has been slighted, and then he puts a twist on her echoes and suggests that she means them. That's really playful. So we have this emphasis on indoluit, which is suffered. We have emphasis on the verbs again, which suggests reciprocity, indoluit, dixerat, and then at the end of the line, end line repetition, ehu, ehu, which mirrors the echo in effect, repeats the echo in effect. We also have a kind of downgrade from voice to sound. So remember in the earlier videos we were looking at the different speech acts Echo was prohibited from, and now it kind of dehumanizes both of them further as they both become less human as they're metamorphosing. We have the Redbubble sonitum plangor, it's just sounds now, so not necessarily a voice. The last word that we hear Echo say is goodbye, and if you look at the close repetition, the way that Ovid closes the gap, wale, wale, inquit et echo, that's really emphatic. It suggests that it's marking the end, and I've talked about how Ovid makes the repetitions closer and closer together to build pace and to add that kind of finality. So don't just talk about repetition. He laid down his weary head in the green grass, Death closing those eyes that had marvelled at their lord's beauty, and even when he had been received into the house of shadows, he gazed into the sea and waters. His sisters the Naiads lamented, and let down their hair for their brother, and the Dryads lamented. Echo returned their laments. Caput, head, you've seen before for the language paper. Mors, death. Domini, mistress, or master, sorry. We've got Inferna, like infernal, so the blazing or burning sticks. Planxera is like to lament, and we have this in Planxera, Planxerunt, Plangentibus. So we have another triad of polyptoton there, which we'll look at when we look at the effects. And echo, once again, is at the end of the line for emphasis. Ad sonat echo. Lots of vocabulary you know already. And now they were preparing the funeral pyre, the quivering torches and the bier, but there was no body. A flower instead of his body they found with white petals surrounding a yellow heart. So pro corpore florem, so florem is flower, corpore is body, corpus, again you know this already, foliis is petals, and we've seen that before as leaves. So this is vocabulary you know. So we've had a bit of foreshadowing in the idea that Narcissus puts his head down in the grass. This is like the drooping of narcissi flowers, which like bend under their own weight because they're so beautiful. The heads on the flowers are so big, they actually bend under their own weight, which is kind of a nice analogy for what happens with Narcissus. He's undone by his own beauty. So we've got this foreshadowing in Ille Caput when he's still a man and heard about, which is the grass. Planxere sorores, we've got this tricolon. My computer's auto-corrected it to tricolour. This should definitely say tricolon. Planxere, Planxerunt, Plangentibus, which again reflects in the polyptoton that echoing effect. Don't just say repetition when you can say polyptoton. We've got the caesura to compare the dryads and echo, with that colon in the middle. We have it again with nusquam corpus erat, so no longer a body, which again creates intratext with echo when echo loses her body. So we have this repetition of crime and punishment, which we saw a little bit when we looked at Echo's punishment from Juno. And here we have this balance of the flowers in place of the body. Nusquam corpus erat, croceum pro corpore florem. So there's a flower in place of the body to round off the story. And then we've got the itia, the origin story of the narcissi flower, bringing it together. So Ovid's quite playful. There are elements of sadness, but also you could say humour because he's so heavy-handed with the effects, and because of the irony he creates that Narcissus undergoes the same crime and punishment that Echo does in a way, and the mirroring effect is similar to Echo's echoing effect. So he's quite playful. I hope that was helpful for you. I'll release some more videos on Catullus, Petronius, and eventually Virgil. Until then, best of luck with your exams, and thanks for watching.